3, 2, 1.
Hi there. Welcome again to my living room. My name is Amy Lillard, and I am the Executive Director of Washington Filmworks and WhipSmart. And we are here for the September edition of In Development, which is our 20 minutes or less update for you about how we are implementing all the things in that bill that passed in Olympia in 2022. So we're glad you're here. I want to take a second and just thank the over 200 film people who participated in our community roundtables about the small budget production initiative. Also need to thank Netzi and Lacey who worked with us on designing the program. We are taking that opportunity in-house at this point, and we are writing guidelines and criteria in hopes of announcing more about the program and the final version of it that will launch at our December industry update, which is scheduled for December 8th. So now that the small budget production initiative is well underway, we are going to shift our focus this evening and talk about rural economic development. As we know, many incredible locations are in rural Washington, and the bill that passed in Olympia gives us a lot more opportunities to support filming in other areas outside of our production centers. As a matter of fact, the state says that 30 out of 39 of our counties are rural, so that's lots of land to film on. And we now have the opportunity to do infrastructure development within rural communities. And there is also that enhanced incentive, which means you can actually get additional incentive dollars for filming in one of these 30 counties. It's a big initiative and there's lots of opportunity. And so, of course, we had to bring someone on board who is super smart and super competent and capable to help us with this work. So I'm delighted to introduce you to Miss Sherrye Wyatt. Welcome, Sherrye.
Hey, welcome. Thank you.
I have to first start by saying thank you so much for being a board member of Washington Filmworks for so long. I know that was like the first thing that you did with us, and now you're jumping in on this side of things.
Yeah, it's a great honor. What a great transition. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. So why don't you start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your background with film?
Yeah, so I was born in Pasco, Washington, in eastern Washington, and grew up on a farm near Basin City, which if you know Basin City, then you really know eastern Washington. It's a small town. It's a family farm we still own with my brothers and I, and went to school in Connell High School and then on to WSU, and lived in Ellensburg, lived in Lind, lived in eastern Washington working for the Apple Commission and wine grape growers and wheat growers. And so I've really been involved in, agriculture communications in the rural community for a while. But then I moved on to Whidbey Island. And as I moved into Island County, I got involved in tourism and discovered that there were a lot of film projects going on here. And we didn't have a film liaison. There was no real point of contact to work with Washington Filmworks and to help productions. So I sort of pioneered that position and have held that for about 10 years. And that's where I got involved with film. It's just really, on the ground, learning as I go.
Yeah, you have been in the trenches with us on many occasions, not only from the film office projects that we are driving to that area, but also you hosted Midday Black, Midnight Blue. Was it last summer? All these things it was last summer, right?
Yeah, I think so. Well,
yeah, it's a good time here. As you know, that filmmaking team is thinking about coming back, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, it was just a labor of love, and it was our first feature film for me to work on, so it was a big deal, and it was really fun to watch someone making their dream come true, and to be able to help artists do that as a location. We were really involved. So.
And it did look gorgeous. Your locations looked gorgeous on that big screen, that is for sure. So you mentioned the phrase film liaison. What is a film liaison? What do you do exactly as a film liaison?
So a regional film liaison, which is what I would consider my role with Whidbey and Camino Islands, is someone who sort of serves as a bridge, between productions with Washington Filmworks and with the community. So it needs to be someone who's pretty engaged with the community, at least knows who to go to for for permits or for location information, to find lodging or catering, all these different pieces that are the puzzle. So a film liaison does lots of those things, and it's a little different from someone who's just maybe involved in creating a permit or issuing permits. So film liaison is a big role. You have a lot of hats to wear, and it's really exciting because you're like the go-to person on production for our community.
Chief problem solver, so to speak.
I was soon a troubleshooter, but maybe troublemaker, but
that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's an exciting thing to be, and I encourage anyone who's interested in learning more about that role to reach out to us, because we're defining it now more formally and determining what it might involve, and to be really engaged as a film liaison rather than just to kind of be sort of relaxed about it. I think we're going to actually have more training and make film liaisons feel really empowered.
Which is the beautiful thing about this bill, right? It's allowing us to do things that we've never done before. Part of what you're working towards is, we have always talked at Washington Filmworks that production has to work not only for the film production, but for the communities in which they are filming in. That's very important. It's got to work for both parties. So you are starting to work on helping communities get film ready. What does that mean?
Well, it's interesting because I expect you to ask me about film friendly, but film ready and film friendly are similar, but they're a little bit different. So a film ready community, I think, would be one who is really aware of what it takes and is welcoming to a production, is prepared to answer questions and to work with them in their sometimes peculiar ways and quick turnaround, and isn't fazed by that. And it's similar to film friendly, because film friendly from a production's point of view, to me, would be a place where it just feels really seamless, and they come into a community and they just know that they're going to be well taken care of, and it's going to go off without a hitch. But we want to make people in these communities feel like they are film ready, and create like a film ready toolkit where communities can go to and download things and study and learn and get up to speed, so they're confident. And it will help a community in case there are any projects that maybe aren't necessarily legitimate. For example, if you're really film ready, you can you see those right away, and you'll be, as a film ready community, you'll be in touch with Washington Filmworks too, and they are super great guide for us in our community when we first started. Thank goodness we had Washington Filmworks, because
and now you're the guide. Now you're the person that they pick up and call.
So, see how it works, one day you're checking bags at a hotel, and then you're the manager. So that's what it feels like.
There you go. There you have it. So, it's interesting. We've had several conversations about this offline, but I'd love for you to share this conversation around why should folks in rural counties spend time, energy, and effort making their jurisdictions film friendly or film ready, whichever you want to call it. But why do you think that would be of interest, or should people be interested in that opportunity?
Opportunity is the word. I think it's been a missed opportunity for many rural communities, because COVID was hard on a lot of small towns, and just coming through now with the supply chain issues, and these agriculture communities are struggling with cost of fuel and lost markets. And film is like another industry that is just untapped, and it doesn't necessarily change your community's the sense of place. It actually is about highlighting and promoting that sense of place that's already there. So to me, it feels like such a normal, natural thing to just go do and develop, because you will have a lot of opportunities that will create economic development and jobs and new visibility to new visitors, for tourism. There's lots of layers to this. And I just don't think maybe communities have fully known, or maybe had one bad experience, 15 years ago or something, and just, never really got over that and realized that, this is a new day, and there's a lot of filming going on, a lot of streaming programs, and look at all the places we have that are just, gorgeous places and interesting, quirky places too. So I think Washington State, really, we could be it all. We could, you wouldn't need to go to Arizona and to Canada, and we don't need to go find mountains in Colorado. We have it all here. So Washington State really could be a one-stop shopping for productions, and I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. I'm fired up for these small communities.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I feel like there's so much more content being made, and so that there's more opportunities for people to engage now. And like you said, our locations are incredible. One of my favorite stories, though, is when we go out into the field and we meet, with people in counties or, cities or towns. They are always looking to give us the beauty shot, right? The, beautiful park overlooking the water, which we love. But like we can be going, by a dilapidated grain mill and be like, whoa, what's that? Like we're excited about that too. So it's fun to get into the field and talk to folks about, things that they might not think are marketable, but are actually super interesting and provide incredible locations. So.
That's a really good point, because I recall as a beginning film liaison, I was taking pictures of horses in a meadow or something. Like, no, we don't need horses in a meadow. What we need is that weird barn back there. We need the locations, not just the pastoral and pristine beauty of a place. We need to see kind of the burned out buildings, or the post-apocalyptic part of a small town that might actually be ideal for something. So it's going to be fun to work with communities to put a new lens on it, to see their community a little differently, and to know
I
that.
tell you what, Sherrye, if you can find us a cabin in the woods for a horror film, we get that request all the time. So let's see how that all pans out. So
No problem.
Okay, so we have been talking for quite some time. You have a very ambitious work plan with lots of exciting ideas in it, but let's just start with like the right now, say September through December. Like, what are your top priorities in this moment?
I think the first thing we're going to do, we're going out with a survey next week to people who've been our film liaisons, regional and community film liaisons, and people that are contacts in the communities, to hear what they think, to hear priorities for them, concerns, opportunities. I think that's the first thing to do, is really talk to people and find out what's on their minds, and that'll help us as we develop our programs. And then we're moving into fully explaining what this incentive will look like for productions. So they'll be really aware of what it means, how many days, or what that spend needs to be, or however that's finally defined for productions. And then we're going to be working directly in communities to develop this toolkit and really get everybody up to speed and feeling good about what they have to offer. There's a lot of work to do. I mean, there's lots of layers to this, and
there's lots of layers.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, what's happening now between now and December, right?
Well, I know by Friday we're going to have a survey out next week, so that's that's next. I'm just taking it a day at a time, and then we'll probably be bringing people together and meeting directly one-on-one with film liaisons. I've already been doing that over Zoom, and so.
Well, and just for those that might not know what toolkit means, a toolkit is what exactly?
Well, what I envision as a toolkit would be a place to go on the Washington Filmworks website that explains, things that are commonly asked questions, frequently asked questions about what should our permits look like? What should people charge? What do I do if a film is coming to my town? Just some checklists, maybe ideas for what you'd have on your own website of your town or your tourism website, and good photography tips, just some of the things that commonly come up, and just we think that'll be a good way to help film communities understand what it takes, and not feel overwhelmed though by it. So that's the key, not to think, oh, this toolkit, now I have to spend all these months organizing it. It'll be easy. We'll make it easy and user friendly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what I love. You're bringing all of these years of experience, being a film liaison, and like what I wish I knew.
Yeah.
How can I make it easier? How can we not reinvent the wheel and things like that? The other thing that I love so much is that we have two folks. We all know our film and love our film liaisons, but we have two people who work intimately with those film liaisons. One is Vicki Berglund Davenport, who is our production services manager, and now our director of rural economic development, Sherrye. But you're coming at it from two different perspectives. Vicki, those who know Vicki, I know that she's been a location manager and producer for years and years in Washington State. You've been a film liaison and Washington Filmworks board member for years and years. And like, listening to you to dialogue about, you know, how to approach the conversation to make sure that we're looking at it holistically is absolutely inspired. It's so fun to watch. And I can't wait to see how you two continue to collaborate and make things easier for communities in the state to film. So,
and filmmakers too. See, I'm learning so much from her and from you, because I'm starting to see it more through the eyes of the filmmaker, and there's just nothing quite as valuable as that.
Yeah, it's a good team. We have a good team going on. So I'm curious to know, you know, as you go into, like, you have this very ambitious work plan, how do you define success? What does success look like from your perspective?
Well, I think for me, it would be more projects being filmed in rural parts of Washington State. That would just, and they're not just necessarily incentive projects, but commercials. There would be more ownership from those local communities of those projects. They would see the finished product. Maybe there'd be a screening of the film in their hometowns. You know, there would be this kind of new culture and relationship that's just growing all throughout the state, so that we are really seen as a go-to state for filming in rural communities, as well as in our beautiful larger cities. But I think it's really time for the rural communities to have the spotlight, and that's one of my main goals, is just to see more work happening in these rural counties.
Love it.
Gonna happen.
I have one more question for you. How did you get HGTV to return to your island 5 times? What did you like? What'd you do there? Like, what was the magic secret sauce?
Well, I don't know for sure, but I think one thing is being super responsive. You know, the emailing back within about 5 minutes is critical. That just being so engaged that you're right there, and they don't wander off. You know, you hold their attention and find what they need. And it must have been just a perfect storm with, we had a lot of properties for sale in beautiful places when they were looking for, like, you know, beachfront properties. But then island life itself wasn't always about buying a house. You know, some of it was just about all that we had to offer. And, you know, it's relationship building. So I'm going to say, just, you know, being present, being available, working with them. And if you don't have the answers, just emailing back later that night saying, you know, we haven't found out yet, but we're looking, you know, that kind of thing. Yeah. Filmmakers really appreciate hearing that at least somebody's thinking about them.
Yeah, that's what we do, right? We like make sure that we're thinking about this industry all the time. So
yeah, so don't move on to somewhere else. You know, don't move on to Oregon. Oh, oops.
Yeah. We love Oregon, but sometimes
we love Oregon. Then I just, you know, let's see if we can't just do more work here in Washington.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you for being here. I'm super excited that you said yes to joining our team, and we're going to do great things together, no doubt. So,
I know, I'm excited. Thank you, Amy.
Before we sign off, I just want to give a shout out to the city of Seattle, and very specifically Council Member Sarah Nelson, who worked very hard with partners in our community to get a Seattle Film Commission online. So congratulations to the folks in Seattle. I know that the Film Task Force and Markham at the Office of Economic Development and our good old friend Chris Swenson worked really, really hard to get this done. So congratulations. If you hadn't heard that news, a Seattle Film Commission has been anointed and will be online soon. So just a reminder to keep up to date with Washington Filmworks and the work that we're doing. Feel free to follow us on social, or of course sign up for our email newsletter on our website, which is washingtonfilmworks.org. And we will be back next month, the last Thursday of the month at 5 o'clock, doing another in development. But also save the date for that annual industry update, which is Thursday. I think it's Thursday. It's December 8th. Maybe it's Tuesday. I don't know. It's December 8th for sure. That I know for sure. And we are going to hopefully be sharing a lot more of the things we've been doing behind the scenes and really launching new programs. So it is a great time to be in film in Washington State. And I'm super excited about what's happening in our office and our partner's office and in this community. So let's keep at it. And we will see you next month. Thanks so much.